Cheers to you guys watching. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. If you want to join me, grab a cold one, kick back, relax, and watch today's Broncos Breakdown, which is a mailbag video where I take your questions and I respond to them. So hit that thumbs up icon to start today's show. It is mailbag time here on the channel. Like I said, I listened to the questions you guys put in the community post I put out earlier this week, and then I do my best to answer them and give you my honest response. So without further ado, let's waste no time. Let's have another sip, and let's dive into the first question. Xavier Solaro, hope I got that one right. Xavier, appreciate the question, my man. Do you think Denver will make the playoffs next season? I started the show with this question because it's a fun question, right? You don't have to think too deep into it. I know we've got a lot of quarterback talk and Rodgers in the draft, but to me, it's a fun question, but I think the answer, honestly, is a bit of a cop-out. It's 110% dependent on the quarterback situation. You look at last season, the Broncos roster loaded with talent. What did it do? It won 7 games. Why? It was partially handcuffed from inconsistent quarterback play from Teddy B and Vic Fangio just not knowing the offensive side of things well at all. So I think it's 100% dependent. Actually, I think it's 110% dependent on who they get from the quarterback market this offseason. But if you want Denver to go ahead and make the playoffs, don't jinx it. Hit that thumbs up button as well, because you know what? Playoff football is way better than sitting back and golfing in January, which I know can be fun if you got some nice weather, but I'd much rather be on my couch watching the Broncos play in the playoffs than watching another Chef's game, which I can't stand to do anymore. With that all in mind, though, if you were to predict the Broncos' 2022 record, what would you predict it to be? Is this going to be a 10-win team? Right, can Hackett come in here and win double digits in year one, or maybe a 9-8 team to start? It's very dependent on who they have under center. We'll find out. Let me know what your predictions are down below. Next question comes in from Chris Millen. My question is quarterback. What are they going to do? It kind of sounds like Kevin Malone when he's like, why say so many words when few words do trick? But what are they going to do at quarterback? That's a good question, Chris. And I've kind of broken it down into 5 tiers. So top QB options for the Broncos, in my opinion, versus what I think is going to happen, some kind of collaboration. Aaron Rodgers is number 1. Number 2 is Russell Wilson. Then you move on to number 3, and that is a long drop down from those 2 guys, which is a tier 2 veteran quarterback. They can't land Rodgers in the trade market, and Russell Wilson stays put in Seattle. Then they got to look maybe at these 4 guys. I have Deshaun Watson as my number 1. He's honestly not with the rest of these group in terms of skill-wise, but his future is just so unclear. I really have no idea. I could not tell you where he's going to play in 2022. Kirk Cousins may not be a sexy pick, but if they don't land Rodgers, Wilson, or Watson, he may look a lot better than bringing back Teddy Bridgewater. Ask yourself that question. Would you rather have Kirk Cousins, or would you rather run it back with Teddy B? Garoppolo, he's absolutely getting traded. Doesn't look like it's going to Denver, but if something falls through elsewhere, that could happen. And then the Colts want to move on from Carson Wentz, so once again, Denver strikes out on the first 6 guys or 5 guys on the screen. Maybe Wentz all of a sudden looks a lot prettier. Moving on to option number 4, though, that would be free agency or Drew Lock in terms of what Denver could do to find another quarterback. I personally don't want to run it with Drew Lock. That's going to piss some people off, but that's my honest opinion. And if you disagree with me, that's no problem. But here are some free agent quarterbacks the Broncos may look at. Jameis Winston's a bit of a tough nut to crack because he's coming off an ACL injury. Trubisky all of a sudden is like the hottest name on the street, despite playing like 3 snaps. And I think he even threw a pick in one of those 3 snaps for the Bills last year, but a former 2nd overall pick. Teddy Bridgewater, not a name that I want to see happen just because we know the outcome of that, right? I don't think we're going to improve or move forward. We could do worse than Teddy Bridgewater. But I don't know if we want to, see the same movie all over again. Mariota, I don't think he's a realistic starter anymore. And then Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, he's old. I'd rather pass on that one. My 5th and final option for the Broncos QB in 2022, the NFL draft. I do think this is a bad draft class. If you've watched me up here before, you've heard me say that I'm just not a fan of this draft class. Why? Look at these top 5 names here, and then honestly tell me with a straight face, any of these guys would have been picked in the first round last year. No, they wouldn't have. But we are forcing this QB class because myself included, but, the big J's who follow the NFL and the NFL draft, they are insistent that we have to have a top quarterback go in the top 10, maybe even 2. So we'll force it even if no one's all that deserving of it. Now it's time to get your crystal ball out, get your crystal globe, and predict this for me. Who do you think the Broncos starting QB will be in week 1? So wide net right there. You could go from the NFL draft to free agency, maybe Drew Lock. Let me know what your prediction is down below. Before we move on to the rest of the questions in today's mailbag, I just want to give a quick cheers and a shout out to everyone that has recently subscribed. Caleb Canada, Phil Corneo, Linda Koch, Brandon Lee, Michael Gomez. Thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. If you have not subbed already and if you want to get a shout out on the show, pretty simple. Just hit that big red button, comment below, and you can see your name on the show and be a part of the show just as much as I am. St. Patrick's Day is coming around the corner, and I'm going to do it a lot more of that, that's for sure. So if you want to do it in style, then you can wear some awesome Broncos gear, which is on sale at chatsports.com/Broncos gear. Just 2 shirts right here, but the sale is a lot more, including some socks, some hoodies. I got the link in the comments and the description down below. So if you want to get the Irish flu on March 18th, good way to do it. Get a cold one. Rockies are blue, just checked. And do it in some St. Patrick's Day gear, some gear in green. Next question comes in from Lord Lego Man the First. I hate those with my feet. Does Denver pick Von up from free agency or Clowney or both? So there was this question, and then there was another question that was kind of similar. So we'll kind of combine the two here. Producer Marsh working quick on the scenes. All out Broncos 1858 with a similar S question. Should the Broncos pick up a pass rusher like Chandler Jones or help to try to address it in the draft? All right, maybe I've had too many cores so far. So let's look at the 3 names tossed out there. That is Von Miller, Chandler Jones, and Jadeveon Clowney. I've got their 2021 stats there. All good seasons. Clowney had his best year since, 2018, his last year in Houston? Yeah. Chandler Jones, he's honestly been the most underappreciated defensive end in the NFL. Like, good trivia question. If you ever get a stumper of who's had the most sacks since 2017 or something like that, decent guess it's Chandler Jones in Arizona, although he did get hurt last year. And then Von Miller, I'd love to see a reunion with Von and the Broncos. So my order goes Von Miller, Chandler Jones, and Jadeveon Clowney. I got Clowney at the tail end. He's just been a little too inconsistent lately. Von Miller, it's a household name in my LI country, right? I would love to see Von come back and win back-to-back Super Bowls. I think in order for that to happen, the Broncos need to go out and get a top-tier quarterback to incentivize him to come back and not stay in LA, for example, where maybe he thinks he can win another one with Matthew Stafford, or maybe he thinks he could go somewhere else. But now it's time for you guys to be a part of the show again. If you had to pick if you had to pick a defensive end to sign, who would it be? If it's Von Miller, type his Broncos. I'm not putting 40 down there. Type 58 for Von Miller, CJ for Chandler Jones, or JC for Jadeveon Clowney. Let me know what your responses are down below. I'll be looking for them. Next question comes in from Big Mel is a mile high. All right, we're going to call the cops on you because that sounds illegal in some states. True or false? Has Drew Lock been supported by the coaching staff the whole time he has been in Denver? Well, if Drew Lock was up here right now, I think he would do a big sit to try and digest that. Because, no, I don't think he's been supported the best. His first head coach was Vic Fangio. He's a defensive-minded guy. He's had 2 offensive coordinators under his 3 years so far in Denver. But this is the NFL, Drew. Put your big boy pants on. I'm sorry that things maybe haven't gone to the script. But at the end of the day, when you've been in the NFL for 3 years and have had, 24, 25 starts, you have to, at some point in those starts, put some consistent play together to make it make sense to have you be the starting quarterback. And I haven't seen that run. There's been moments. I'm not denying the moments that have been out there. But I haven't seen it over a longevity period of his career. I've just seen it in spurts, and I want to see it put together for more than 2 to 3 weeks or a 5-week stretch at a max. I want to see a season worth. And unfortunately for Drew Lock, rookie season, had some injuries, then he had COVID in year 2, and then he got benched in year 3. So it's been up and down, and some of that's on him, some of that's not on him. But look right there. It's your big boy pants, NFL. Put them on. Next question. Oh, my God. Drew Lock. All right. This is awkward, Drew. I'm sorry, man. All right. Should the Broncos get a guy like Rodgers and let me learn from him for a couple of years before I take the job over? Dude, if you could take the job over from Rodgers, that would mean one hell of a thing. And that's that you somehow grew, a more accurate arm. But getting Aaron Rodgers, yeah, I'd like to see that happen. That's not a hot take. That's not a bold claim right there. I do believe Aaron Rodgers can help this football team win a Super Bowl soon. Now, maybe if you've watched this far, you're a loyal subscriber. I appreciate you. But maybe you're going to disagree with what I say there because, sure, it could be eerily similar to how the Peyton Manning days ended. But at the end of the day, they ended with a Super Bowl ring. And so just because we didn't have a good post-Manning, right, doesn't mean I wouldn't run it back. And this time with the new GM in charge, we don't end up with Brock Osweiler or Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, Joe Flacco. It's hard to remember, honestly, at this point, how many quarterbacks have started for the Broncos since Peyton Manning left. So that's going to do it for us here. If you guys enjoyed the video, appreciate you. Like the video, enjoy your weekend, and we will catch you guys later here on the Broncos Breakdown.